Welcome everybody to Flat Earth Nation, now called Mud Flood Was Armageddon, because that's what I believe. This is a Flat Earth Nation, Mud Flood Was Armageddon. I'm never going to tell you anything else. I'm willing to debate, and that's what I'm going to be doing today, is I'm testing my Wi-Fi, and if I have to at 7, I'll find a better place to stream it, because I'm going to be making, hopefully a video that I can stream along with. Got the line in there for Randy. Oh, man. Let me get my monitor set up. I can't believe it turned off when I said it was waiting to monitor, Hello. Hey, good to see you, Luther. Glad to hear you're here and listening. This should, it should be good, because being talked about all over the world. I think John Levy's talking about it today. Stellium 7 made a video addressing it, and he's ready to debate. So I'm excited. Let's Stellium 7 recommended, and this is Hangman 1128. These are his most popular videos. I've sorted them out. He's been around for a while. He's into it. And yes, he's got biblical part 1, biblical tree remains. So again, somebody, a truther that all of a sudden is into, biblical things that don't line up with the Bible. And, we can disagree and put out our videos. Mike and him have some disagreements. They'll have some disagreements. We'll all see who is there in the end, at the end. So I don't want to show that one yet. I do want to open up another. Show the videos I was previewing today.
I talked about or as I like to go to his channel, he streams for hours and hours and hours, and I can't keep up with it all. But I don't agree with a lot of the things he says, but I agree with a whole lot of other things that he says. And he's got lots of interesting ideas, and he does tons of research. He had another channel called Flat Earth Nation, and that was yanked by YouTube, censored. He had about 10,000 subs, and then they did away with it. So that's something else we're going to talk about, is censorship. Or as I like to call it now, I coined this term yesterday, CENSORCERYSHIP, right? Because they're casting spells in the minds of people by denying them information. Nobody's ever used that word before.
I love it. And I love the fact that here's a man, a humble man, but like when I say things that for the first time, I like people to remember it too. And he's going out of his way, because this is a cool word. And it says a lot, like nephorensics, which is what we do to body parts. I like being the person that okayed that word. Doug Bartles thought of it. We were, but it's forensics of Nephilim. It's good to be the first one to say it, and history will show it.
I'm the first. CENSORCERYSHIP. You heard it here first. So I think that's what they're doing, and I don't agree with it. And I think they're scum. Yeah. So anyway, Alan from this channel, he's constantly streaming and showing different bits of my work, and then he brought up a. We're going to come back to that in a second. Brought up, this heart right here. This is from another channel, real small channel, and he posted this video a long time ago. I meant to talk about it and show it to everybody, but I couldn't because I was kind of in a phase where I wasn't really producing videos, and it just slipped my mind. But the channel name is, where'd it go? Stone sprang out here. Here it is. It's web dev newbie, and this is one of the most beautiful examples of a heartstone that I've found, or that I've seen. Not that I found. This is a beautiful video. He's got lots of really interesting pieces here. A lot of them I don't know what they would be as far as the different kinds of biology, but look at this stone. Oh my gosh.
Gorgeous. Dr. Mike Wilkerson is staring at it in awe right now. He's going to say it's the most beautiful stone he's ever seen.
To the aorta and the vena cava.
And speaking of, it's nice to be the first one to say something. It's nice to be the person that posted the first, this is a heartstone video. I'm glad the Lord led me to do it, because this is a Christian movement, and they'll all realize that. But Mike, as a true man of science, cannot deny that, yes, this is one of the best examples of what they call petrified heart. And, I think, and I have a video scheduled for 7 o'clock tonight that's going to be talking about petrified wood is a sexualized terminology, because everybody knows either like, oh, that guy got wood, or besides he got wood on it with a baseball bat. But everybody, what I mean. And they just have it, I think it's been part of, is as big of the thing as the globe earth, and it will be exposed.
There's the top, the gristle, the fatty portions of the heart.
Okay, I'll disagree with this part too, because I'll show when he gets to my stone and that he disagrees and thinks it's a clump of wood from a twig. This is where the vena cava laid, and that's where it was expressing elements that turned to crystal. There's fat, and he shows it on others, but this is not that. This is, you'll see my argument.
That's the top. See this opening here, and here's the suture line where the folds of the heart meet, and there's your entry, and boy, would that be an interesting one to slice open. That's probably the best heart specimen I've ever seen. There are some others, but it's awesome. So give that guy a sub. He's only got 332 subscribers, but that was beautiful work. And so going back to this one, he's got Web Dev Newbie has another video where he actually is rotating it and showing how it compares, and that's what Alan is showing here on his channel.
And so this piece, that's why this piece on the right on left is a different color from what's on the left here. It's just like you're seeing in the image over there. It's just the way that whatever happened to it in Petrified, you can clearly just see the difference in the layer. Okay, look at this a little bit bigger now, so we can identify the different openings.
Anyway, so that's what I want to show you there. And then at the later in this video, there's another video Alan made where he shows this. And honestly, I have a hard time seeing this as a heart. I know, Alan, you're totally convinced.
Right, and probably it's the angle. If this was reversed and this is the vena cava, that would be running along that if it was Web Dev Newbie's best specimen you ever saw, that would leave that trail of, because this is the blood flow, it would leave that whole trail of the white crystals as it was been, there to seep into the blood, because they're in a flood. And then all of these other, this is just where it sits on the heart. This is that little flap still connected. I see it that way. But you'll see what they think is a turtle.
That it is. To me, this looks more like petrified root structure of a tree and petrified sap. I know you've gone through it and looked at the anatomy. It doesn't look anything like anything I've found here or the other heartstones that I've shown. But I think it's a beautiful example.
Right. That's why this one is in a museum. Because it's very this must have been, in my world, a super repenter. But I mean, there's the muscular structure. You can't see a heart in there. This is another rock that's laying in front of it in the museum. This isn't part of that stone. This is, it's covered. This is the outline of the other heart here. And these are accoutrements
of a petrified tree. I could be wrong.
It's you're looking at not the way you would normally hold it.
This is a special video for a man I know. I think he's a good man, Dr. Mike Wilkerson. Not always.
Yeah, I'm thinking more root structure, Alan.
Right. See, they are really, they're triggered for the root structure, I believe, from people that have never studied the Bible are all now talking about these are biblical avatar trees, Oh, does the Bible talk about biblical avatar trees? Or does it talk about we are living stones? The stones will cry out. The stones could cry out if a prophecy was ever broken. They would say, why am I reserved in judgment?
So this stone that he's showing, I don't find anything like this anywhere around here.
That's because if you would clean off some of the vegetation and underneath it, you would find it. And you see it on your own stones.
Well, he's off here.
And what they will have to explain, because I can explain it, is why is this little line here? And why is this, this is obviously another line where these breakpoints come off. My view of the medical books of living stones, this is a body part, and this is the area left for the blood supply, which is why you find petrified wood in sections. There's always room for the blood supply.
Well, he's off here. It's just wood.
There's no way. And because it has the same elements as it's drawing out, it has a spirit. The birds, everything that has pneuma, the beasts of the field, they all have it. I'll be able to show the pictures of what looks like wood and what looks like caves. I've been to these mountains. You can see here are man-made steps, and this is a part of a brain or something on top of the cliff dwellings at Mesa Verde. I was right out here. Yeah, they kicked me out, but I didn't care. I had my pictures. But that's not wood. There's no tree rings. It's body part. And they know that it's going to naturally cool itself because it has ventilation. If there's water that gets in it, it'll cause its own siphon and vacuum and make rivers that continuously flow out of the water. They had dwellings on the outside, but everything underneath went inside because that's where they were going to be safe. This is how they got into a body part. This is not how trees form. There's dendrochronology. You can trace tree rings. Your arguments are going to be busted not by me, but by the people that are going to show you that, my goodness, this is not really a tree. cardinal directions, north, south, what is, dendrochronology. It's not going to show that, this is what, wood is going to look like. It's going to have some twigs, but it's always going to have these rings running around it. And it's continuous. You could do the whole law for dendrochronology. You can't do it for stone because it's broken off all the time in sections where it needs oxygen. It's just not wood, and I'm not going to be the one that's going to have to show you. These petrified body parts are everywhere. This is no more a seashell. It's part of your balance system for your brain. I think it's the cochilla, they pronounce it. But that's what they're hung up on. It's petrified wood. That'll be easy for me. John Levy's video today, his other, he's going back to, this was my second video on Flat Earth Nation exposing the Erie Canal. He left comments on my early videos. Now he's quit the coffee business. And he's just using the same things that I was doing 6 years ago about the Erie Canal and not even doing it well. Just sleepwalking through it, slumber nautically, like he walking through life looking for anything but Jesus Christ.
So, yes, is this the case?
So, as Tommy always reminds me, turn it up so the people don't fall asleep.
Very simply, something good that turned bad. It may be, or it may not be. Just depends on who you are and what you believe.
Right. It could be body parts, and your body's going to build up gold, silver, and precious stones that will, survive a refining fire or not. But who cares? He loves you all. You're all, you can believe it or not. Whatever. Buy my coffee.
What you care about. Perhaps caring is one of the most important attributes. One of the final qualifications that I looked for in an employee towards the end of running my coffee shop. Someone who cared. Somebody who gave a damn. And I give a damn, and I fight for good. This is my pledge. So let's see what we can extract from history that may help us understand the present.
Right, and I'm going to hold John to that pledge. If you can't prove it, it's got to mean something. It's not just like, oh, well, here we go. Believe it or not.
And I thank you for being here. I hope you're all well, and welcome. This is a test. Matt, in the past, has talked about how this reality, the nature of it, whatever it is, must build things up and then break them down. A great example is Star Wars. The first 3 Star Wars episodes in the 80s were absolutely mind-blowing. So much truth. I feel like I saw my first buildings, and for who and what? And why is everything junk now? Just sticks of wood, as somebody said in a comment recently, stapled together. And that's all we're doing with our nail guns. Just stapling wood together, covering it with a thin facade that wouldn't hold up to anything out of the ordinary weather conditions. And why has everything degraded? Now, in our research, we say the buildings have degraded because we're not the same builders. Maybe it was a humanoid-like creature, or one exactly like us, but not our people, seeming to have a break in the timeline, a break in the cycle of humanity or mankind. When we look at the earliest photographic evidence, everyone is so primitive and backwards on their horse and carriage.
They look like they're panicking. They look like they're in a panic, and those terrible horses and buggies. I mean, what a panic they're in. Let's watch them panic some more in their primitive chariots.
And why has everything degraded? Now, in our research, we say the buildings have degraded because we're not the same builders. Maybe it was a humanoid-like creature, or one exactly like us, but not our people, seeming to have a break in the timeline, a break in the cycle of humanity or man.
Kind of like the creation, first creation in Genesis 1, second creation in Genesis 2, 1,000 years unaccounted for, foundlings, orphan trains, like, remnant left for Gog and Magog.
God, when we look at the earliest photographic evidence, everyone is so primitive and backwards on their horse and carriage in the mud, seeming confused and out of place. Again, a break in the timeline. But that would explain the degradation of the architecture. But what about when it happens in our lifetime?
Or you could look at it as a bunch of foundlings showing up going like, where's my address? I'm going to do my business here. Uh-huh.
Such as Star Wars, just ruining and almost made to cheapen the original three, to somehow dilute the original three. Like these truths are now being covered up in some way simply by smearing.
I want to thank you all for showing
It's the
up.
track
Thank you,
record
Matt
that
G,
the
for
first
taking time
three
out.
movies had. Something that seems to have been
Marcus,
good,
Fred.
not as bad, we could say in the most simplest way. Sometimes this could happen because a creator has just run out of imagination. We've seen this with great musicians putting out a few great albums and maybe having a commitment to publish some more, and the music seems to look into a
Same
5-hour
old
video.
thing, Same old thing is mystery. Let's go back to the very beginning. And this was on the same day I put out a video, 2 7-minute videos one about Oklahoma City was a Native American star fort capital. And the second one was about the Erie Canals are all fake from the deluge flood. They were exposed, and all they ever had to do was dig them out in that time frame. And here we go, 13 minutes in, and he finally is going to be like, well, let's get interesting now. Remember, we're at 1.25 speed when he's talking.
Similar matter, causing the energetic particles to vibrate in a constant manner. And I made a video over 3 years ago called Unlimited Free Energy, and you can see all about what he's talking about here. It's explaining that certain shapes automatically vibrate and resonate at a certain frequency, just based on their shape and the quality of the metals in which the shapes are cast. And Russian scientists proved this over 20 years ago. Very old documentary, Russian documentary.
So read between the lines here. And after John had done videos about, Armageddon being passed, he found this other guy that made a 5-hour video, and he bought all into it. And then one day, like Static in the Attic, he said, oops, I found a book that shows some construction. So everything's wrong. Forget everything I said. And now John's spinning, going like, what can I do? I don't want to go to the Bible. And this guy's just dismissed it like Static in the Attic. Oh, no. I think I'll try to bore people into sleep.
Sharing this knowledge on how Antiquitech works, and that all these religious symbols, coincidentally or not, happen to be the best symbols for resonating or vibrating. Hence, why we see these symbols on the very tops of the most glorious buildings throughout. So we'll get back to this, extracting the good from the bad. But now I'll present to you part 2. Perhaps there's no point to this video. I can only share what I'm researching and what interests me.
That's what I'm
We're on a
doing.
golf course. If you don't know, I believe golf courses are the sites of great structures of the old world. And
He believes that because I told that to Michelle Gibson live when she was telling me she was a poor veteran that loves Jesus and agrees with me in the Canals, and can I have her on my show? And then I did, and she got large and started channeling things, and but yeah, she's big on she discovered the star fort tetrahedron pattern and shared about golf courses being weird, and John's all in. When we have everyone's life run before us in heaven, and then they see our lives run before us, so I'm going to be able to say, no, You didn't discover the star tetrahedrons, and you weren't the first one to look at golf courses funny.
Civilizations. They're always strategically placed around a town center, prime real estate for anything but a game. And I believe this game has been created as this grand cover-up. Here you can see very carefully all kinds of things buried under here. And right now we're in Montreal, right next to this massive train station, which I believe is also of the old world. Just unbelievable and over the top. And pretty much in ruins. Again, we can see the signs of the old world, massive buildings, much just scraped clean and in disuse. Some of the rails being utilized today, but nothing like whatever was going on in the past, just over the top. And the golf courses being part of this. I think I've told you my mother was born in Montreal. I think right up here in Nevada, the suburb. And a lot of signs of the old world here. Look at the way this is laid out. Saint Hubert or Saint Hubert is kind of like a Chick-fil-A. I enjoyed it as a child. And again, just how advanced everything is. Very circuit boardy everywhere we look. And even the canals, very advanced canalways. Somebody had to shape all of this. And here a little amusement park. And again, all the amusements placed in the most prime real estate. I mean, look how advanced this is. This has been cut by a people. This is an artificial island. This is so advanced and not something that would have been done for an amusement park. And I've been to this amusement park, La Ronde. It basically means the round. And here is Le Monstre, or the monster. And I've ridden on this thing. This might be the world's largest wooden roller coaster. Even here it looks like it's in ruins. And look at this. It looks like tech. Again, I rode on this maybe when I was 7 or 8. Never noticed the tech. And look at this mess of tracks. Surely this had something to do with something else, but not the point of this video. We're talking about.
All right, man. These are always fun, but we don't want to always be learning and never coming to a conclusion about what we will die for. Because until you make a decision to die for Jesus Christ, you've already made a decision to live and die in the Matrix.
Serious early model horse and wagons, no power, not even good quality dynamite, black powder, what came before dynamite. And we're told people just dynamited their way through, creating a level and even canal, not just here but everywhere. Originally I was looking at the Erie Canal. Here we can see the remains of the Star Fort. We see the corner, and they're just chipping away at it. Good materials in the Star Fort. But I digress. Along this canal we go, and I guess I should first take you to this map that I was looking at. This map was really interesting to me. I'll zoom out so you can get a better look. There we go, and it's pretty old. We can see Virginia here. Virginia is just listed as this region, and we can see Iroquois, New Scotland, Canada, and New France really occupying a giant chunk of land. Even the parts unknown, and New Mexico. And here we can see Illinois. Forgive me. It's called the Illinois. And here we can see the Illinois Lake. The Illinois Lake, now Lake Michigan, completely connecting. Back in this time period, we can see the artificial canals all over these maps. Look at this massive artificial canal stretching across the nation, connecting to the Mississippi, which even in this old map is the Mississippi, but yet stretching to what they call the high mountains.
I was raised near where Chicago would be, right in here. And I don't see anything here. Up here would be like Milwaukee. I'm not sure if this is like Green Bay. Where's Green Bay up here? The upper lake. Yeah, so this is probably Milwaukee and Chicago. Then I was raised down here in the farmland.
What I believe we call the Rockies today. But again, it's parts unknown. This region was said to be inhabited by giants, and even this map, as I've shown before, states that the lower part of the river is adorned with 6 noble cities,
Wow.
besides 100 towns.
Star for it, baby.
Bold to call anything a noble city, surrounded by hundreds of towns in this time period. Clearly, pre-America seems to be a map for royalty, and very detailed, very advanced cartography. And what we can see is all the Great Lakes connect. A clear passage has been cut through, starting in here with the St. Lawrence River, St. Lawrence, turning into the first Great Lake, which in this map is called Lake Frontenac, like the castle that I just showed you. And today, Lake Ontario is what in the old map is called Frontenac Lake. And things look a little different, a little more squared off with Lake Erie than we see in present times. Very square. And then I just wanted to show you a map of the Erie Canal. So here we can see Lake Ontario, Lake Erie, and we're shown that this connection between the two lakes was artificially cut of the Erie Canal. Again, let's go have a look at it. Here we go. So this was actually cut along with the Erie Canal. Confirmed, artificial. Man cut this channel through beginning in 1817. Construction began on the Erie Canal and was completed in 1825. 8 years in the early 1800s. 8 years to cut this canal. There are no firms, engineering firms, and experts at this early time period. And we're told this was a first, just a first. People in charge had never done anything like this before, and with sheer will and determination and dynamite and horse and wagons, they managed to...
No dynamite until the 1870s. They had black powder, and that's not close to dynamite TNT. At this point, I'm gonna interrupt. Let's at this time, you could go look for, I think I remember it's called the Caldera Cut. Are they calling that the deep cut? $363 miles. It was dug out, sponsored by a Clinton DeWitt. These people, remember the timelines here. The Loyal Company of Virginia. So after 1711, everybody came out that survived the reaping, because that was the end of the 1,000 years and Satan was loosed. A certain group of Rosicrucian Freemasons who survived got in touch with the other people and said, oh, by the way, we're the Loyal Land Company. And they formed in Virginia 1749 for the purpose of recruiting settlers to Western Virginia. They go, oh, yeah, we own it. Come work for us. Or we'll give you some land and we get a cut. The company continued operations until 1776, when it changed names to, from the House of Burgess to the United States Senate. And then they changed, like the Rhode Island Plantation Corporation, they just shortened it to Rhode Island. And they made it into now we're a company too, but they also had the Ohio Company. They were there and they were required to recruit settlers to its lands. The other ones only just had to file a survey and say, this is what it is. But it was all built on watersheds. This is the lesson I was teaching on January 25th, 2017 at 3:30 in the morning. I was doing some research, it looks like, into this because I used to have to cut, paste, and present, drive to the library to present it. They didn't have these, in 2017, when I was trying to research and explain the canals in painstaking detail, that's where this picture came. As you can see, I was studying the Yazoo land, 1015. I am an open book. I have documented practically every day and hour of my life. And I can't believe it's not called Caldera Cut. And this is just another Erie Canal. This isn't even the Erie Canal we wanted. Because they had this, what I'm looking for is a 7-mile section that men with copper chisels had to break through. It was their last section. Look at all these locks, because we want to get to the aqueducts also. Because remembering from the video that they didn't have dynamite, they had black powder. Shovels were, I think, made of wood. And they're still using it today. So here's the big, I've had this, and I've been looking for this picture a while. I'm going to make sure I have another one. Do you see that? Look at that picture I have for this tonight's video. And I even did a thumbnail. You'll have to flip it to find out that I did the center on the bottom right, but it's a mirror. Never mind. I got to save this picture because you got to see it. Where's that 7-mile cut through the granite? I think it's right here. You see these parts where the mountain comes up and they have to chisel it down? Unlike these other sections, they can build little siphons and keep it level as they go up miles and miles, because the canal starts down here and then it takes locks, 7 feet, 5 feet, 3 feet at a time, all the way up to here, maintaining perfect level. And when they had to get across here at Syracuse, why didn't they show, why doesn't John Levy show? How do you spell Syracuse? That's how you spell aqueduct? Why didn't they show these at that's the word I was looking for, Shoshone Creek. Yeah. Erie Canal Aqueduct. But they didn't have anybody trained engineers back then for the Erie Canal. That's a Roman, Greek, Etruscan, whatever you want to call it, for the Erie Canal. I used to show this picture all the time, Shoshone or something like that. They're everywhere in the United States. I used to love to show these pictures before, but then the Lord said, well, you should figure out the Bible. And, so I kind of got away from flat earth maps and this and dug into the Bible and found out, oh my goodness, thank you, Lord, because he had to show me Armageddon's over and the 1,000 years and Gog and Magog. Yeah. Like Mike likes to want to, what was it? Cyber censorary. Well, I'm glad that I was the first one to say, all of this about Armageddon. Because it's up to the Lord. Because, like I said, my life has been an open book. Everybody's going to find out, what, you're a volleyball coach, a warehouse manager, part-time theologian, just because I studied, my path will intersect with the great teachers of this time. But I just taught the Sunday school, different things like that. You like that picture? Yeah, the pioneers built that. I was the one who brought this to the world and got the Bible to say the timing is the Lord's. And now it's worldwide. And I'm speaking to a very select audience of people who I don't want to be fooled into that this is a country worth dying for. That is my whole message, and that's why I'm going to be proving my points tonight, that these aren't petrified wood. No way. Along the way, finishing up from last night, I never did get much into the spoil system as opposed to a merit system, which is good, I guess, because what we have is bad. Because this is fucking evolution and Darwinism. To the victor belongs the spoils. That's capitalist bullshit that's been shoved down our throat in an unhealthy race to scramble to the top because we've been programmed, sexualized. And any love for these people without realizing how, remember their loyal company in 1748? These things are supposed to wash over you by now in acceptance, not skepticism. Eventually, this is something you hope for. I'm offering baby steps of faith to the Bible, and they're offering leaps of faith into cosmic chaos and a hope for redemption through some sort of a purification thing that, whether you like it or not, your foundlings and orphan-trained grandparents believed in racism and eugenics very much. Very much. That's one of the only things we can all agree on. Yeah, we're embarrassed by it. We should be. We're living at a time where it's hard to prove God's love because we're being judged for their racist murders and genocides that have been going on since Satan has been loosed. It sucks. But we serve a God who can't, he is pure. And he has purified us for one reason, to glorify his name. And in case you were thinking you earned it somehow, no, cronyism. It's right there for you, as opposed to who's showing the fruit, who's walking the walk, who wants to present their body as a living sacrifice, holy to God, away from the world and its unholy aura, because you're surrounding yourself with unclean people who whack off 3 times a day and then shake your hand like they're not unclean. Go to your love feast communions to eye your women and steal them if they can. And some women are seemingly more than willing and waiting. Meritocracy is something earned, never deserved, because that is what the spoiled system leads to. Patronage. It's a fine line between Moses saying, hey, look, this is my brother and my sister. They're equally have been called by God. They can prove it, as opposed to saying, this is my brother, deal with it. That's patronage. It is a form of slavery. And it's the opposite of doing well. It is and leads to political corruption, the mafia taking over the police forces and the government, illegal trade, money laundering, Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump hiring and commiserating with people who do spirit cooking and are on a very short list of people flying on a very naughty plane. Soft despotism is what Alex de Tocqueville praised about the American churches and how they've developed habits of the heart and let them believe that, yes, we should die for our country and have our mothers live, and never, like the divorced women of today, say, once I've grown accustomed to a level of comfort, I should never diminish under any circumstance. And the man is responsible for that. Although they don't want to admit that man is the head of them. And forget sometimes that it goes both ways in a divorce when they go, hey, wait, the man should just give it to me and say, it's okay, I don't need it. Something like that. The whole world's a psyop. I am going to be digging into petrified wood today, Lord willing, and coming up with my best arguments of why it's crazy. It can't be. They don't have the evidence, and I can prove it. In the meantime, pray for me if you would, because it's a flat earth nation. Mud flood was Armageddon, and I'm never going to tell them anything else. Why would I? Why would my friends? We have their best interest at heart. Amen. Hallelujah. Aho.